Hi guys, what's up? It's JVceo. If you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Pause this video, go down, subscribe, and then come back and start watching it again. Anyways, I recorded this content for a totally different audience. If you don't know, I run a coaching and consultancy firm called JVceo, and within that company I offer a range of initiatives, being business initiatives, finance initiatives, and a lot more. So part of what we've been doing is credit repairs, and I have had a lot of questions on Instagram with regards to, credit repair strategies and questions regarding credit scores and credit profiles, so on and so forth. I uploaded it on Instagram, like I said, about a week ago, but then I thought, you know what, my YouTube audience are missing out. So here is a re-upload of the particular content, and hopefully you pick some things up from it and share, like, subscribe, and comment. See you next week on Sunday at 6 p.m. Hi guys, what's up? My name is John Victor, and I'm the driving force behind JVceo. Recently, I have got a lot of questions regarding credit repairs, credit checks, credit profiles, how does credit work? So many questions. So I've whittled it down to 10 questions, which I'm going to be answering on live today, or on the video today. So just get into it. First question, are CCJs removable? The short answer is yes, CCJs are removable. There's several ways of doing this. You could obviously have it set aside through the courts, but you have to, essentially speaking, tick off certain grounds to be able to go down that route. Alternatively, would be to not even get there in the first place. So obviously get ahead of it so that you create some sort of a payment plan with these companies so that they don't have the need to go to a court to seek a CCJ against your name. And some of you watching this might think, what is a CCJ? A CCJ is a county court judgment. Essentially speaking, when you have a county court judgment, it means that you're in debt to another company or an individual. So that means you owe someone X amount, you're unable to pay it, they go to court, and they get an order awarded against you. That means they can chase after you with recovery companies and so on and so forth. On to number 2. I've got a question that says, I have a credit score of 850 and I'm still unable to get credit. Right, so I have had this quite a lot. I have had people come at me saying, look, my credit score is 950 and I'm still unable to get credit. Bearing in mind that Experian goes up to 999. So technically speaking, they're in the excellent category. What I will say with this, I'll give you an analogy, and then I'm going to give you a quote that you've probably heard so many times, which is, no credit is equivalent to bad credit. So if you don't have any credit, if you don't have much of, a bank of credit for lenders to make a decision on, then unfortunately, regardless of how high your score is, you wouldn't be able to get credit. And even when you do get credit, you wouldn't get credit at the best rate, that being the interest rate. With that being said, I'm going to give you the analogy that I talked about earlier on. So car analogy is... the best way I like to explain credit is, imagine you pull up to the lights. You've got a brand new, say, Golf, and someone else has got an old school, maybe 2000 BMW that looks a bit banged up. You've got a brand new Golf, brand new plates on it, 2020, maybe 2019. And you're thinking, you're a boy racer, and you're thinking, you know what, I can really have this guy at the lights. And off you go. And he literally, the old BMW literally takes off and leaves you like miles behind. And you're thinking, how has that happened? Essentially speaking, your credit score is the body of the car. And your credit profile, like your credit worthiness, is the engine, is how you run your credit. An example being, I could have a credit score of 750, but due to me having, a wealth of credit beneath that 700 or 750, I'm still going to get better credit than someone else who's on 900 with barely any credit, So that's why you're not getting any credit. And also, with that being said, actually, sometimes it might be something a little bit more sinister. You might be on 850, you might be on 950, but let's say you're not registered on the electoral roll, or let's say the address on the electoral roll is not matching the address on Experian. So these are things that you've got to get ahead as soon as possible. Make sure it matches so that you can give yourself the best chance
of having good credit. On to question number 3. What can bad credit affect? In a nutshell, obviously, we all know that you can't get a lot of things. Sometimes you can't even get a contract if you have bad credit. But alongside that, if you have bad credit, you get the worst interest rate. So, I've spoken to so many people. I spoke to someone the other day, and he got a mortgage out recently, and he's on a 5% interest rate, which to me is just crazy. Because generally speaking, people are on like 1.7%, 1.5%. Even people that are on a bad deal are on maybe 2.4, 2.7%. For him to be on 5% is just crazy. Like it's almost like a money pit, and that's simply for the simple reason that he doesn't have good credit. He has bad credit, and that's why he hasn't been able to get the best deal. So that's what having bad credit could do to you. That's how much it can affect you. Moving on to question number 4. I got this in, I think, yesterday actually. What's the best way of monitoring my credit? Although very simple, and although most people probably already know this, but for someone to ask that question, it means that they're not in the know. They need that understanding. They need that knowledge. So, firstly, you've got Equifax and a lot of all these other platforms. Personally, I recommend Experian because I think it's the most detailed. And generally speaking, in the UK, most lenders use Experian. Some lenders use Equifax, but most lenders collectively use Experian. What a lot of people do not know is Experian actually comes free of charge. So you can monitor your credit on Experian free of charge. If you obviously want a more detailed credit report, then you have to sign up to the monthly version, which is, I believe, $14.99. But that's a small price to pay to keep an eye on your credit. That way, if anything appears on it, if there are any adverse recordings, you get ahead of it immediately and you sort it out immediately. So that's the benefit of actually doing this. I pay $14.99 a month, and I think it's a fantastic investment. Now on to number 5. Do I need the services of a credit repair company? Quite interesting actually. With this, I'm just going to put it down to 3 things. I'm going to say time, knowledge, and discipline. If you've got all these things, if you've got the time, if you've got the knowledge, if you've got the discipline, then the answer is no. You do not need the services of a credit repair company. You can get some of these things done on your own, but generally speaking, a lot of people do not have the time, a lot of people do not have the knowledge, and a lot of people do not have the discipline to create, a favorable credit profile about themselves. So that's where people like myself come into play, and we can help you structure, your whole credit profile and get it to a place where it needs to be, or the place where it needs to be. Moving on to question number 6. My credit is so bad, I do not know where to start. So firstly, bad credit I link to, poor financial planning. So that's the number 1 thing you should do. You probably will benefit from this. It's a game that I play, or a task, if you want to call it that. Take an A4 sheet of paper and write down all your bills. Write down all your bills and write down the direct debit dates and put it up. And then out of that, you could start cutting down some bills and figuring out what bills you need, what bills you don't need, and deal with it from that standpoint. Because a lot of times when you write all your bills down, you realize that you're paying for a lot of things that you shouldn't really be paying for. You're probably overpaying on your Wi-Fi bill or your mobile phone contract, because the deal is over and you just didn't upgrade it to a better plan. There's so many reasons why you could be overpaying. But financial planning is one of the main reasons why people have poor credit. In addition to that, having good debt management, again linked to financial planning, helps with improving your credit. And finally, it's getting ahead of your bills, getting ahead of your debts, understanding your debts, and actually dealing with it as it comes. If you ignore that red letter, it doesn't make a difference, because later on you're going to have to deal with it. If you don't deal with it, you're going to get a CCJ. So it's about getting ahead of it and just dealing with it at the earliest opportunity. With that being said, actually, I've got a blog on the site, jsnow.com. The blog, I'll put a link in the it's not a YouTube video. I thought it was a YouTube video for a minute. I was going to say I'll put a link in the description. But yeah, go onto the website. I got a blog on dealing with your debts, essentially speaking. I think it's a blog called Savings 101. It incorporates a bit around dealing with your debts alongside saving money as well. Now on to question number 7. How are credits judged? Oh, this is a great question actually. I'm going to throw up a picture on here. It kind of gives you the breakdown in terms of what categories are judged, or how different categories are weighed up. I think if you have that knowledge, then it would sort of help you, prioritize on what to do first, especially when you have a really bad credit. So I'll throw that picture up on the screen right now. Take a screenshot and then use it for your personal benefit. And on to question number 8. Pay all my bill and I still have bad credit. So, links back to certain things I've said earlier on. It's about your credit, your credit profile. It's about the engine of your credit profile. So it's about the good credit versus the bad credit. I'll give you some examples so I could simplify this for you. So, if you have, say, 4 loan accounts, right? For argument's sake, if you have 4 loan accounts, you might be on 500 or maybe 600 out of 999. On the other hand, if you have, let's say, 4 credit card accounts, and your utilization is low on those credit card accounts, you might be on 800 or maybe 850, for the simple reason that compared to loans, credit cards are not judged as being detrimental to your credit profile, especially when you manage it right, especially when your utilization is low. For those of you that don't know what utilization is the percentage of the credit card amount that you use. So if your credit card limit is £1,000 a month and you use £100 every single month, that means your utilization is at 10%. So that's how, having an array of credit could affect your credit, if that makes any sense. So number 9, I was a guarantor and that ruined my credit. What should I do? Firstly, is don't be a guarantor for people that you can't really guarantee will pay the bill. That's number 1. Number 2, usually come to an agreement before you actually go to court. I'll be honest with you, a lot of people don't know this, but most companies are happy. Let's say you owe £3,000. Most companies are happy to take £30 a month, £50 a month, without having to go to court. The reason being, it costs them to go to court. It costs them to, send all these recovery agents against you, and there's still no guarantee that they would actually get that money back. So to get ahead of it, what you could simply do is come to some sort of arrangement with these companies before it gets to court. If you owe £3,000, they're happy to take £30 a month, and then they know in however many years it will be paid off. Simple, and that's the best way to get ahead of it before it actually gets to court. And like I said, do not be a guarantor for someone that you can't guarantee that will pay the bill. And in fact, my principle in general is, other than for, let's say, my siblings, I'm never a guarantor for nobody, because I'm not keen to wanting to pay for someone else's mess or for someone else's debt. And now on to the last question. I've got, how can I avoid CCJs in the future? So I've got a few things here. It's attend the court session and give yourself a winning chance. Because if you just ignore the letters, let's say you finally got to a point where a CCJ is pending and you just ignore the letters, the court will just rule against you. But attend the court and see. You never know. You might be able to beat the case, if you want to call it that, or you might be able to actually win against these other companies. Or sometimes you might actually strike a deal on that court date before you actually proceed into court. You might owe £2,000 and you strike a deal with the lenders for, an amount of, let's say, 30% off or 40% off. So that means you're paying, if you owe £1,000, you're paying £600 or maybe £700. So that's a great way of avoiding CCJ, attend court. And again, don't let it get there. Like I said previously, there are companies that are more than happy to take a payment plan. I got a lot more questions, but I kind of felt like these were the best ones to talk about on or to talk on. So thank you. And if you have any inquiries, then just drop me a direct message on Instagram. I'm also on all platforms. I'm on Facebook. Drop me an email, visit the website, pick up the phone, give me a ring, and then I can obviously advise you, and hopefully we can work together at some point in the future. Thank you.